When Steve Jobs stepped onto a stage in January 2010 to unveil the original iPad, he framed it as a revolutionary third-category device, something nestled perfectly between a smartphone and a laptop, leading almost everyone to assume Apple had simply taken the wildly successful iPhone, stretched out the screen, and called it a day. But in reality, tech history was completely upside down because the iPhone didn't inspire the iPad. The iPad actually birthed the iPhone. Long before the world ever saw a touchscreen smartphone, Apple was secretly building a massive glass multi-touch tablet, only for Steve Jobs to make a high-stakes, ruthless decision that shocked his engineering team by ordering the entire project locked away on a shelf so they could pivot and build a phone instead. To understand how this wild pivot happened, you have to look back at the landscape of the early 2000s, a time when personal computing was dominated by heavy laptops, and the early tablets floating around the market were notoriously miserable to use, requiring clunky plastic styluses, running scaled-down versions of desktop windows, and feeling like trying to write on a brick with a toothpick. Steve Jobs hated styluses with a passion, but he became utterly obsessed with the idea of a seamless glass display that users could control directly with their bare fingers, which led a small, top-secret group of Apple designers and engineers, spearheaded by legendary design head Johnny Ive, to start experimenting around 2002 with a radical new technology known as multi-touch. They built a massive, crude prototype display tethered to a giant, noisy computer tower hidden beneath a table. But for the first time in human history, placing your fingers directly on a piece of glass allowed you to pinch to zoom, swipe, and scroll through web pages with natural inertia, prompting Jobs to immediately realize this was the absolute future of personal computing and officially greenlight a secret tablet initiative codenamed Project Safari. For months, Apple's best talent poured everything into making this thin multi-touch tablet reality. But by 2004, two enormous roadblocks threatened to destroy the entire effort. First, mid-2000s mobile processors were either far too weak to handle smooth graphics or ran so hot and consumed so much power that the device would essentially overheat in your hands after 20 minutes. And second, a terrifying existential crisis was looming over Apple's primary source of revenue. At the time, the iPod was generating over half of Apple's total profits. But Jobs noticed mobile phone manufacturers like Motorola, Nokia, and BlackBerry starting to build basic music playback features directly into their mobile devices. And he realized with terrifying clarity that once phones became decent MP3 players, consumers would completely stop buying standalone iPods. Driven by this corporate survival instinct, Jobs was reviewing the massive multi-touch tablet prototype one afternoon, watching a web page smoothly scroll beneath his fingertips, when he suddenly had a massive revelation and turned to his team, realizing that instead of trying to force this unready technology into a giant tablet, they could take the exact same multi-touch interface, shrink it down, and use it to build a revolutionary mobile phone. Jobs made the immediate call to put Project Safari into cold storage, pulling every single engineer off the tablet initiative and reassigning them to a frantic, top-secret phone mission codenamed Project Purple, forcing the design team to spend 3 agonizing years compressing that spacious tablet interface into a tiny 3.5-inch pocket display. It was a monumental, terrifying risk considering Apple had zero prior experience in the wireless telecom industry. But when the original iPhone debuted in 2007, it transformed consumer technology overnight, disrupted the mobile phone market forever, and saved Apple from getting crushed in the portable audio space. Once the iPhone was firmly established as a global cultural sensation, Apple quietly returned to its secret vault in 2008, realizing that component technology had finally caught up with their original vision. Mobile processors were dramatically faster, battery density had significantly improved, and iOS had proven itself as a bulletproof, touch-first operating system capable of handling complex tasks. Apple dusted off the shelf 2004 tablet hardware designs, upgraded the internal components with modern chips, expanded the iPhone software back onto a larger canvas, and officially introduced the iPad to the world in January 2010, where initial critics famously mocked it as just a big iPhone without ever realizing that the iPhone had actually been a small iPad all along. Ultimately, shelving the tablet for over half a decade was one of the most brilliant strategic gambles in modern business history, because had Apple forced the original iPad out in 2004, it likely would have bombed as a heavy, slow, power-hungry gadget. But by pivoting to the phone first, Apple built the most lucrative consumer product in human history before launching an iPad that sold 3 million units in its first 80 days, created the modern tablet market overnight, and completed a 10-year secret revolution.